The United States, 0. North Korea, 8. Syria, 17. Israel, 62. These numbers may seem arbitrary, but they are incredibly significant. They indicate the number of times each country has been condemned by the United Nations for violating human rights. It is not a surprise that the US has 0 or that North Korea has 8, but it might surprise you that Israel has 62, almost 2.5 times more than North Korea and Syria combined. The truly shocking part, though, is that Israel is one of the United States' closest allies, and the US will do anything in their power to support them. This means that your tax money is going to a country that has over 50% of the United Nations human rights condemnations. I've taken multiple classes that discuss the role of America in the Middle East, which has given me a great amount of background knowledge on the subject. But the research I conducted gave me much more insight into just how offensive and disgraceful our support for Israel is. In this speech, I'll explain why the US should stop supporting Israel immediately, not only for strategic purposes, but for moral ones too. To first understand why the US needs to end all its support for Israel, we must discuss the reasons why Israel is not a worthy ally. Strategically, supporting Israel has led to a more dangerous environment for the United States abroad. Disconnect. Terrorist organizations such as Al-Qaeda, Hamas, and Hezbollah have declared their hatred for the United States because of our support for Israel. Specifically, Osama bin Laden, the mastermind of the 9/11 attacks, wrote in his manifesto to the United States that the reason he attacked us was because of our support for Israel. In addition, Dr. Beverly Milton Edwards, an expert on Middle Eastern politics, has stated that Hamas, a militant and political group in Palestine, has declared a holy war against Israel and therefore against us. One of the images in here, as you can see in the top left, shows a Hamas propaganda image which displays their strategy. It says a strategy for killing civilians, essentially. So this is concerning for Americans, as Hamas, a group which has declared war against Israel and the United States, their main goal is to kill civilians. But foreign countries also feel in a similar way. According to Professor of Political Science at Punjab University in Pakistan, Dr. Hamid Kizilbash states that Pakistanis and other Middle Easterners feel that Israeli violence and atrocities against other Middle Eastern countries is directly related to the support America gives them. He also adds that Arabs and Islamic people feel that have already made their minds up when it comes to Israel. They know that Israel will never be their ally and will only continue to harm them. Because we support them, they feel a similar way towards America. Again, this is considering some of these countries include Pakistan and Iran, who either are nuclear powers or on the verge of becoming nuclear powers. But beyond the lack of strategic value Israel is as an ally, morally supporting them is just as bad. Israel is an occupying force, and they have been since 1967. Professor of Political Science at McNeese University, Dr. Rathna Mandirthi, has stated that Israel has violated the Fourth Geneva Convention. This Geneva Convention states that a country cannot annex land through force, and in land that is annexed, it must uphold the rights of those native people. You can see this picture in the lower right-hand corner. The green indicates Palestinian land, and the white indicates Israeli land. Since 1967, Palestinian land has been diminished to almost nothing. While this alone is not technically illegal, the matters in which Mandirthi claims Israel has done it is. The Israeli government has incentivized their citizens to create settlements in Palestinian land, therefore kicking Palestinians out of their own homes. They also violate the idea of maintaining native rights, according to Mandirthi, through the imposition of curfews and checkpoints, as if they lived in a totalitarian government. Milton Edwards also adds to this by claiming that Palestinian religious life has been censored through censoring sermons, arresting preachers, and blocking the entrance into Eastern Jerusalem, which, for Muslims, is a very important city. In addition to the occupation, Israel feels no regret for what they're doing. They avoid discussion on the topic altogether and provide faulty indications. Raif Zarek, a professor at Tel Aviv University, has stated that Israel has never made it a credential to be Jewish to be a citizen. However, in recent years, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has made it his priority to establish Israel as a Jewish state. Zarek claims that the reason this is being done is to take the focus off of the occupation and point it towards a more pointless topic. Amit Khalidi, a professor at Oxford, extends his thought on this when he says, Palestine was established in the course of over 1,500 years of continuous Arab-Muslim presence. It was only by superior force and colonial machination that we were eventually dispossessed of it. His point here is that the creation of an only Jewish state would mean that Jews and Israelis have a moral, historical, and religious right to the land. But Khalidi is stating, no, we have been here for over 1,500 years. We have just as much historical, religious, and moral right to be here. And finally, as I stated before, Israel has had more documented human rights violations than any other country. Between 2006 and 2015, Israel has been condemned 62 times by the United Nations. The United Nations has only condemned 55 other condemnations. But between 1992 and 2005, Israel has condemned 79 more times. According to Dr. Steven Seligman, a professor of political science at Dalhousie University, 28 of those condemnations came from Western democracies, dispelling the idea that only third world countries that are out to get Israel are the ones condemning them. So what does all of this information mean? It means that Israel is not a worthy ally, and it means that the US should stop supporting this oppressive government. Luckily, the solution for America is easy. We must end support for Israel, not only economic, but also military support. And we must make commitments to condemn them when they violate human rights. Making these commitments and ending aid will only benefit benefit everyone, especially the United States. If we end aid, it allows us to focus on more pressing issues at home and abroad, and will create a peaceful environment in the Middle East where we no longer support Israel just because they're Israel. Condemning Israel will also send a strong message around the world that America truly stands for freedom, not just for American interests. So you might be asking yourself, what can I do to influence this policy? Well, it is a huge issue. You could write to your congressman to try and start a discussion at the federal level. I also encourage you to vote in the next elections in your state and the national elections to elect officials that have it as their policy to help America instead of hurting it. So in conclusion, the United States is a great country, but we need to complement ourselves with great allies. Supporting Israel has more negative consequences than positive ones, and the solution is easy. We must end our support. Instead of supporting an oppressive government, we should uphold our belief that we are the land of the free and choose liberty. Through the actions I stated above and the other political means, we must ensure that the U.S. truly does stand for liberty around the world and choose freedom over favorites. Thank you.